Hey guys, welcome to Tales Off the Holotables, the only SWGOH web show that does not have its own intro, and I make it up every single week. I am here this week with Stero, who, I normally do these huge intros, and it takes me forever, and then I forget that you're even here, and then I go, oh shit, let you introduce yourself. So I'll just very quickly say, we had set up a Discord about 3 months ago. We had set up a creators corner for that Discord, and you were the first person to reach out to me about making use of that space. And we've done a few things in the interim in those 3 months. But how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Yeah, it's a crazy day at work, so I'm glad to just be able to kick back, relax, and have a fun conversation.
And have a drink, right?
Yeah. Oh, here's my mic. Hey, let me actually put that in front of my mouth. There we go.
See, you look way more professional than me. I have my like $15 headset or headphones and my mic over here, and we go from there.
I mean, I don't have my green screen and crap up, so it's low quality. Low quality from me.
The Lysol was telling me, like, you need a green screen. I was like, no, I like the low effort issue crap that I have going on here.
I mean, it's definitely a vibe. So.
It is. It's my creepy room vibe. It's my office vibe. So 2 weeks ago, I hopped on one of your GAC streams, and that was like the first time that we got together and did something. And did we win? I think we won, right? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I think I actually ended up losing that one, but I'm not sure.
Well, then I guess I'm bad luck. But I don't know too much about your account, so give me the details here. Like, how big is the account? I think you're in Kyber. I'm pretty sure that you're in Kyber from what I saw. Give me the lowdown.
Yep, so post recent LSBs, I'm sitting at 6.9 million. 3 GLs, Kylo, Rey, and Sith Eternal. Rey was the only Lightspeed bundle GL, though, because I already had Kylo, and then obviously Sith Eternal hasn't been in a bundle. Also had Executor before bundles were a thing, so that was fun. Because I was following, remember Arnold's farming guide, where it was like get SLKR and then Executor, and it was just like, that was the way to go.
I don't watch his stuff. I talk to him every once in a while.
It was from like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
but that was like the guy that everybody was following because he could solo the Sith heroic raid and stuff like that. And so that's what I went for first. And that just so happened to be like the things that they focused the Lightspeed bundles on, which was, oh well.
Super fun for you.
Yeah. So I've since branched out, and the only things I really don't have are like the tertiary teams, like the Tuskens, the Jawas, like ew. And then the conquest characters are all in like the 200s for amount of shards I have.
So the interesting thing, what I liked being on stream with you before was, I'm 11.6 as of today. I've been playing for a very long time. I have pretty much everything. And when I do a GAC, I turtle, so it's all secondary teams that I'm using, but they're all high-end teams, right? They're all like the best thing out there outside of the GLs. What was interesting was to watch you get around these walls and around these teams using things that I haven't used in forever, or never would have thought about using, because being an account that's more in the mid to high end, around that 7 million point, you don't have access to the same things that I do, but you're playing GAC at pretty much the same level.
Oh yeah, I'm in Kyber 3. That's where I'm at.
You're almost there.
I mean, between Kyber 3 and Kyber 2 is a really big chasm. Between bottom of Kyber 2 and top of Kyber 2 is also a huge chasm. But honestly, the way that I keep in it, I know I'm gonna get flamed left and right for this, but I farm my Datacrons, man. The Datacrons really help.
that was the thing that I know we were talking a few weeks ago, and I said, "Hey, like I'd love to do this with you, but let's wait till the next Datacron set, because
Hmm.
you always have them right away. I don't have any of
I
them.
always get one right
You
away.
get that first one at,
I get the
I think it's
first
the
one and I go for the
SLKR,
most
right?
interesting sounding thing.
I think you have
Yeah,
the
so
SLKR one or
I have the
TIE
first
Pilot.
order one with the Special Forces TIE Pilot.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know you and Moonborn were going back and forth on Discord. I was watching earlier today, but you're for someone who only has 7 million, you're way more on the pulse of Datacrons than I am. I just kind of go, oh, I have that guy. I guess I'll get it.
Mhm.
I don't know what it does. I think it'll make my team better, but let's hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, for me with Datacrons, it's like if there's a game-changing Datacron like the Holocron or the Resistance Cron with the Finn Zori team, that what that does is that allows me to take, I don't know, lazier players who have huge rosters,
So me.
and I can beat them because they will throw just a bunch of crap at my Zori and Holocron, and they'll lose. And they'll burn multiple GLs on one of my teams, and that's how I get the holds necessary to win out those fights. Without Datacrons, like there's no way I would be maybe Kyber 4 um, without them, but they provide that power boost specifically on defense. I'm not as keen on the offensive ones because it's like, great, I have a team that was already my go-to team for everything, and now it's more powerful, so it's still my go-to team for everything. But on defense, the Datacrons really help, and they're not really hard to get. Like I know
Yeah.
I spend some resources on getting the first one for testing, but that's for content and for science. But during conquest, like I get my whatever gold crate or whatever the one that gives you like 50 or 65 shards maybe.
65 is the gold crate. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go for that one, and then I farm the materials for Datacrons, and it's not that hard to do. You can get a decent sized Datacron collection just from participating in Conquest, and so that's what I like always recommend for people to do. Is because it's not that hard to do, but there's a fair bit of end game players who are so against the idea of Datacrons
Yeah.
that I'm going up against these 10 million GP rosters, and they have like a level 6 and a level 3 from the last Datacron set, and that's it. And I'm like, well, I guess you don't have Holocron, you don't have Finn Zori, you don't have any of this like really good stuff, and that really gives me the advantage. And so I've had a positive experience with Datacrons because of that.
Now, my interesting, well, I guess it's not a point there, but my question going from there is, you're not a free to play player because you bought the Lightspeed bundles.
Mm.
Um, as someone, Datacrons were brought into the game, and I think now as players, we're seeing that they are making things more interesting. But when they were first brought on, everyone was like, "Oh, these suck! Like, they're just trying to sap money from us, and this is garbage." But as someone in like that 7 million range, where would you say you are in terms of spending? Like, are you a light spender? Are you like a heavy spender?
I mean, I'm definitely not a whale. I don't go for the new characters, don't go for the new stuff. Like I don't even have I'm not even farming for the Bo-Katan Rex,
Yeah.
much less other stuff. I think occasionally I'll farm Boss Nass and spend a few uh, sims on like Tarpals or something, but just because Gungans are so freaking wild.
Yeah.
But I'd never buy shipments. I will buy some of the Lightspeed bundles because
The
they're
high,
insane.
high
That if
value
you spend
stuff.
that all in the game, you would spend on Lightspeed bundles. And then like occasionally, if I get like low on crystals, I generally don't. I have a good enough crystal income that I don't, but like sometimes if it's for a specific thing that I like really need to meet a deadline, for like roster lock,
Yeah.
I'll grab a few extra crystals. But so probably like more light
Okay.
to dolphin
So the
type
reason
thing.
the reason I'm asking, and I actually I went through my entire Apple thing today, and I tracked every single one of my transactions from when I
That's scary.
started.
Don't do it.
I did it
That's
today,
scary.
and I was like, oh boy, and it comes out to like about $10 a month. Um, but the reason that I asked is being that around that 7 million point and being in Kyber 3 where, Datacrons are maybe not as prevalent, it just shows that you don't have to be a crazy spender or a huge spender to get ahead of your opponents who may be much bigger, because Conquest, at least in my opinion, and I don't like Conquest, but it's very the things that you can earn from it in terms of shards and in terms of datacrons are actually relatively cheap. And if people do invest in them and people put the effort towards them, they can spend less and get much further ahead in GAC. Is that
Yeah.
fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, also another underrated thing is territory wars. There are some, like, for GAC, the separatist set, just, I don't really care. I'm not sure many people cared much about the separatist set unless you really had Trench or something. I mean, even Grievous, but it's like, I wouldn't call it as game changing as like the Sith and Resistance
Yeah.
sides were. Um, but where that does help is you put on some of those separatist sets, slap that on like a fully relict Geopogocron team in Territory Wars, and suddenly people have a real hard time there. So I think Datacrons also help out in the Territory Wars side of things, which I think some people highly undervalue Territory Wars, but getting a win in Territory Wars nets you
Five
a lot of
droids.
resources, especially those droid brains are so crucial, especially for me. Like, I do not have the crystal income to be just buying the droid brains in the weekly shipments or whatever. They're so expensive. So being in a guild that actually earns them is very important to get those Relic 9 characters. Because I only have one Relic 9.
You don't
Actually,
need
I
them.
did it over May 4th. You do need some of them. Literally, you do, because they're requirements. But
Other than requirements, and the Gungans, obviously you need to do the Gungans
yes.
all to R9 and Marin. Those are that's my tiering list for R9s is requirements, Gungans, Marin.
And JML.
I will fight you and Captain Amazing on that one all
Well,
day, every day.
my first Relic 9 ever was over the May 4th weekend, this past weekend here. I Relic 9'd my Piet.
Okay.
And that allowed me, because I was sitting usually in the like 4 to 10 for rank. Since then, I've unless I forget to do my battle at the like in the last hour, I've always been getting one in Fleet Arena, which
And
has been great because
that's against like Leviathans.
no, it's mostly other executors at this point,
That
but
just makes it easier.
there is one Leviathan and one Profundity. What's really nice is the Profundity always knocks the Leviathan out, and then I wait until the Profundity's in first, bring in my Executor with TIE Bomber, easy peasy. I haven't lost to the 7-star Profundity yet.
Yeah, I haven't had to do those battles in so long that I kind of forget the different counters when it comes to the fleets. At this point in GAC, I just do 3 mirror matches. And that's me and my first world problems of having, everything and not being on the pulse of all of these like counters and how things work, especially after they did those executor changes, whatever they were, 6 to 8 months ago, the fixes that they brought in after 2 years. I've never had to experience them.
Yeah, I mean, do you do an Executor mirror, really?
What? So I actually just now took Executor off of defense, so that I have all 3 of my Galactic Legend ships as of last round. I had that. It's very rare that I encounter 3 Galactic Legend ships on defense. So I don't really have to do the mirror as much as I guess I lead myself to believe that I do. Usually, people will set Profundity, Leviathan, and I've seen some Radices lately. I've seen some Negotiators lately. And I'll use like the Executor against Negotiator, even with the Marauder. On offense, it's fine.
Oh yeah, offense is fine, but that's what I don't know. If you have Negotiator that's really good, honestly, bring that on offense, and then just leave the Executor on defense. Make your opponent deal with it,
Well,
because with the Marauder, you can just, I mean, you could take out anything.
the way that I see my GACs as a turtle is I set up my defense, and anyone listening to this who's now going to play against me is going to know my strategy, but you could always look it up on .gg anyway, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't change every month. I typically set my stronger defense on the top and force my opponent to go south.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very, very rare that somebody breaks into my fleets. And if they break into my fleets, they're doing a full clear and they're really good. They're way better than I am and they deserve it. So they'll go south and they'll take out the two on the bottom and they will get more points than me. And I'll go north, which is where people usually set their weaker defense. And I'll take out their two.
So this is the thing. I don't know how people have gotten the impression, all right, maybe I have done math wrong, but I did the math and I counted in 5v5 the GAC zones, and in Kyber 5v5 the north, if you clear fleets, has more potential points than the south.
The north does. Okay. So I think
The
it's
north
a difference
does.
between
In
5
threes,
and 5.
it's the opposite way around.
Yes. Yes.
But everybody just takes it for gospel that, oh, south wall is always worth more. And so they always set their harder stuff on south wall, which a lot of times I set harder stuff on north. They go south, they can't get through the north wall, and then I'm able to clear their north zones, provided I can get through fleets. And I end up with slightly more points because people don't know. They always just they hear Arnold in their head going, south wall, like if you can take the south, you win. But that's not true half of the time. So but me, also people just don't want to do fleets.
I hate fleets, but I'll do them because I have them. But for me, I think I had done the math for 3v3 and just assumed it was the same for both. And I'm not going to change my defense because that takes too much effort. But typically, I can take out the top in 3s and 5s, and I can get the bottom down to 1 team left. And usually, my opponent will be able to take out the south and will get completely stonewalled by my north. And I'll win on that, and I'll shuffle between K2 and K1 doing that with as little effort as possible. And I love when my opponent attacks right away because then I know exactly how much effort I actually have to put in.
Mm-hmm. And I think something else that's interesting is to me, people going for a full clear on the south, they will sacrifice sometimes, unless they just can't get through both the front walls. A lot of times it's better to clear both front walls and not have enough to get through the south back wall. Because basically if you're in the position where you don't have enough teams to get through a turtle defense, if you can clear both front walls and then also have the chance of clearing fleets, because then your
to do 3.
roster is basically refreshed. You can use your fleets now. You don't have to worry about having used all of your teams on the front wall because it's fleets. I have found that strategy has won me more than saying I'm going to ignore the north wall completely and try to just use all of my teams to full clear the south and have no chance at the top.
Well, I don't know the order in which they attack, but because I don't pay attention to that. They could very possibly be going south front, bottom, top front, and then going and saying, hey, I can clear this. But I typically set a very, very strong defense up top that is a pain in the ass to take out. And when you are facing 7 or 8 GLs on defense, and you've put 3 or 4 on defense yourself, you just kind of go, well, crap. And the way I see it is, you either lose or you full clear me, and if you full clear
Yeah,
me, you
see,
deserve it.
mhm. That's one thing with this strategy. I That's why I like Datacrons, honestly, is when people like you turtle against me. And not exactly like you, obviously your account is a bit bigger than most even higher end players that I'll face in Kyber 3. But higher end players, like I faced just this last round a guy who had all 8 GLs. And did I win or lose? I lost. How did I lose? Oh, yes, I couldn't get through his fleets, but that was live on stream. If I had tried, I dropped a battle on the negotiator, but if I had done the battles in a different order, I would have won, which was frustrating. But this guy even full cleared me with
I've
eight
been in that
GLs.
position.
But so like I almost beat the guy, and I should have beat the guy if I was smarter at fleets. But I had some lessons learned, such as a Gear 12 Malevolence with Relic Geoships can absolutely dominate a fully kitted out finalizer on defense. Just absolutely crushes it. Not even close.
I
So
really wanted to buy that bundle, that Geo bundle, but the day after Jar Jar's release, my big happy day, my transmission blew on my car. So I was like, oh well,
oh
I
yeah.
guess I guess I'm not buying that Geo bundle right now. And it would only bring them from G12 to R3, but I'm never bringing them to relics otherwise.
Yeah. That was my thought process on that. I was like, I will never bring them to Relic
Unless they're a requirement for something.
yeah.
But
Which they
now,
could be if we get another separatist style, like a separatist GL or something like that. They very well could be.
I've had this discussion recently with a few people, and I think the last time I did was maybe 2 weeks ago with my guild leader. I don't know if we're gonna get a GL this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's gonna happen. Just because one, we're running out of people that can be considered galactic legends, and I think that CG's kind of aware of that and trying to sell us that. But two, ever since the GAC changes and the shift from one arena meta into a GAC meta where you need multiple teams, they haven't needed to force us into one super awesome team like they used to have to. And everyone would drop all of their crystals because they didn't want to lose their arena income. Right. So now we're seeing these things like Jar Jar. You have to get these 4 guys to Relic 5 really, really quickly. Like Bo-Katan, the first epic confrontation that we've had in a very long time, since GAS, like 3, maybe 4 years ago. I think that if they were smart, not to say that they'd retire Galactic Legends, I do think there's a few more that are deserving of it, but if they were smart, they would do maybe 1 or 2 more of those in this year. Because if you really think about it, the people who are going to spend the most on those Galactic Legends, they're spending on what? The marquees, right? And there's 3 or 4 marquees in a Galactic Legend structure. Jar Jar had 4 marquees. Bo-Katan had 3 marquees. It's an easy way for them to do it without having to deal with the criticism of, oh, well, this character was not a Galactic Legend because they were only in 2 movies or whatever other bullshit people that are way nerdier than I am can come up with.
Yeah, I guess so. If they do that though, they start losing the non-spender player base, or the people who can't keep up with all the marquee releases. Because if you just drop marquees that don't have any tie-ins previously, then you're just completely isolating the players who are going to be slower to the ball in that, but who still might spend a little bit, right? So like Leia, for example, which was probably the most generous GL in terms of requirements, in terms of like stuff you already have. all the GLs really. They have stuff that you already have in your roster,
Correct.
and then plus some new stuff. So it's more worth it to like go for it. Whereas for me, I'm looking at like Gungans and I'm like, I mean, maybe if I really tried and dropped my other farms and like triple refreshed all of the Gungans as soon as they came out, I could get them and get Jar Jar by like August, maybe, but I would have to like significantly stall my other farms for that. And in someone in my position, it's like there's a lot of other stuff that is very good. I mean, Gungans I think are going to be great. They're arguably too overpowered in my opinion
Okay.
for their place in the lore. Um, Considering they can dunk on like most every team with Jar Jar. But at least they get they're not great on defense if someone has Sith Empire. So there's
They
that.
are very easy to take out on defense with that shield generator. As long as you can get around a taunt, you're pretty okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of teams that Gungans shut down any team that's not absolutely top shelf.
Yes.
So you can't bring in a CLS, you can't bring in gas, you can't bring in like a lot of these like previously high end teams that are now like considered good mid game teams. Like it it makes it really difficult to beat them. And also Gungans on offense can I think they can take down several of the GLs if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
which is
They
like
require very specific modding. My modding is not quite there yet. I'm not smart enough to save mods ahead of time for teams, even though I know 5 months in advance that I'm going to get them. So my modding's not quite there. The closest I've come was last GAC round. I had a Ray with I think a Holocron that I was able to bring down to just Ray, and then I just timed out. It just was too slow of a battle. But other than that, I haven't done too much with them. We'll find out in this GAC match. I'm going to try against a Raycron and see if they do any better and just hope for the best. Maybe the other one was just modded better. But I have seen them with the Datacron take out like Leia teams on full auto.
nice.
I'm excited. I'm excited to try that. But
The real value is the Galactic Conquest on or the Galactic Challenge on full auto. That's what,
yeah, it was very easy this morning for me. It
was not so easy for me.
It was really nice. But what I noticed actually this afternoon. So in the past with BAM, it was every other GC was Beskar Mando. And then we had, I think it was Bad Batch next. And they didn't do Bad Batch, they did clones, but they specifically tailored those ones to not be good to do with 501st. Like, it was so incredibly painful for 501st. And it was every other. And the same thing with Inquisitors. It was every other GC was Inquisitors. And I was looking at the data mine today, and it looks like it's this Gungan one, and then the next three are not Gungan. So it doesn't look like they're following the same cadence they have in the past, and it's actually less.
I think it'll be every other week. I think they also know that by requiring the full squad of Gungans and Jar Jar like not being accessible anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, I think does this event end today or is it over? It's over.
It's either today or it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's over. So even if people wanted to, they can't get it. Mm-hmm. Also, they sold a Galactic Challenge Omicron, and people didn't realize that they would need Jar Jar in order to even use it. And which I think is yeah, the people with Jar Jar don't need it. So I think that was a bit scummy on their part. That Omicron was horrible. Also, Omicron with Obi-Wan or Padawan, is what I'm going to call him, Patty 1, is not very good. The closer and closer you look at it, you're like, no, because you're never going to have all of those debuff
You're preaching
feats
to the
in
choir
one
here.
sector. They're just not going to be in one sector, which means you can do what everybody always does is they burn through the sector and then they're working on the next sector and they have their one team for the feats or two teams for the feats and they just farm the Datacron material node
So on the
on the
subject of
previous sector.
Omicron, because I've been having this fight with a few people over the last 2 days. I released the video this morning and I did a Reddit thread for people who don't like to watch videos. I'm gonna run under.
I
the
actually read
assumption-
that this morning.
Did you read it? Okay. So it's not even just that you're gonna have them in different sectors. It's also that the majority of those debuffs have never existed in Conquest. Right? Like I think it was nine out of 19 of them are actually in
Which could mean
Conquest.
that we're about to get a lot more annoying conquests.
Well, they might be, but I think they already did that, right? They did that last Conquest cycle where they upped all of the buffs, and I think that was them giving us like the pain in the ass thing, and this is them trying to sell us the solution. But I think with all of the way Conquest works, and you get all of these buffs, and you get all of these great things, and I know before we went live, we were talking a little bit about Padawan Obi-Wan and Arnold's testing with him, but Conquest is a little bit different. I think we're going to see him killing things too fast, or that, not him, but his teams killing things too fast to really fully make use of that Omicron for feat tracking, or for feat building, or feat farming.
Yeah, I mean, you can get some teams where like you throw out like a GBA or a DACA zombie, and then you just farm the feat,
You'll have to,
right?
yeah, you
Because
will have to
you just
stall
need a
farm.
durable team because you can lose and still get the feat progress. So all you
Yes.
need is a team that doesn't die, protect Obi-Wan, so his unique still kicks in, and then you just farm it out. People have been but this is also point in case. People have been very good at finding ways to get around difficult feats and
Yes.
just like totally cheese them. So that's really, really, if you are dedicated to Conquest and you're like, I really want to get all these feats, you can do it.
You'll find
If you
a
don't
way.
really care, then you're not going to apply an Omicron because you don't care anyway. Why would you
Yeah.
waste an Omicron there? Also, one thing to go back around to the point I was making with the Gungans, which was not being well made, because the point is actually that the Gungans are really good for what's going on right now. But it's going to hurt my overall economy in terms of the other things. So I haven't finished all my assault battles. I haven't finished like I have horrible Jedi, horrible Galactic Republic, horrible Sith Empire. Like I still have factions that I need to build, and I'm not super incentivized to go for Gungans because my theory is I will just build my account to the point where I can have enough resources and have all my core factions set, and then I can start going for the newest and greatest thing, because by the time I build up my economical base, so to speak, the next big team will be out and they'll be spectacular for whatever they're needed for, and I can just hop on the bandwagon then, and then get Gungans in my own time whenever I want to, and but it's not just Gungans. It's like every team. When you stop doing GL type stuff, then it's just, I personally feel less incentivized because I'm like, oh, I can just take this at my own pace. There's going to be always some busted new marquee team coming out, and I'll save up eventually when I want to and get whatever set of marquees I feel like getting at the time. As opposed to a Galactic Legend, it's more of like you need to sit down and focus a farm for the better part of a year. You need to like really go in all after it. You're already going to be part of the way there. You just got to grind a few of these. They're going to be good no matter what, and they're going to be good outside of their season as well. Not saying, Gungans I think are still going to be crazy out like once the next teams come, but it is the way of the game that other teams will come that directly counter the previous meta teams.
Of
So
course.
the next
Hyper
couple in the
CC.
next couple of marquees, there's going to be a totally anti-Gungan team, and they're just going to wipe out the Gungans, which is fine. That's just how it goes. But with Galactic Legends and Galactic Legends ships, they are not usually hard countered as much as soft countered by the new stuff because they take so much investment. So they don't want people completely abandoning that journey. Because like SLKR, I mean, I know they did Lightspeed bundles, but like I use SLKR as an example because he can still beat pretty much every other GL. Can
Yes.
every other GL beat him? Yes, except for C. But like it's like a cornerstone thing. If a new GL comes out, it can beat Ray, it can beat SLKR, it can beat C. C doesn't even deserve to be on the list. But like the older ones can be beaten. But the way they set it up is such that on offense, you can still theory craft a team that will beat the newer team. Leia was very painful for a long time, but it's kind of opened up, especially now that her specific Datacron has gone
That's what
away.
it always is. It's the new
Yeah.
Datacron that comes out. It makes the team like super awesome, so that
Yeah.
it doesn't incentivize, but it convinces people that don't realize that they're not going to have access to the Datacron by the time they have the farm done, and they go, oh hey, Leia's the new big thing, and she's awesome. But that is one thing that I do think that CG has done really well, is creating this GL economy where it's not just like this tier system of one and it beats this, beats this, beats this, beats this. It's more of like that rock, paper, scissors where one can beat like six others, and then this one can beat the other six ones. And I'll fight you on C. C is one of my favorite GLs. You have to know how to use him correctly. I don't utilize him correctly because I'm lazy. I use him in 3v3 on defense, and he is my most consistent holds on 3v3 defense. I love him, and there's a lot of teams you can use him with Armorer and like GBA.
Yeah. He's tied to the hip with Watt.
Yeah, and Watt, and they wanted
especially to after Bane. He's now even more tied to Watt.
When we all thought,
which I think is
great,
hilarious.
He's not going to be anymore. But when has CG ever been good at that? How many times has Lord Vader had a lifter? 3 times now, I think. Where they said, yeah, you can use.
Well, it depends how many. If you count Bane, because it works. He technically works with Bane.
He works with it, but they never said, hey, this is the lifter, right? Maul, they said he was a lifter. Malakos, they didn't necessarily say he was a lifter, but they said he would work really well with him. The same thing, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, they didn't necessarily say he was a lifter, but they did say, like, hey, you can use him with him if you need to, and it'll be great. And it never pans out for Lord
Never
Vader.
is. No, they're always too good in their own respective teams.
Yes.
To warrant that, because a GL, as much as people like hate on the GLs that are a little bit weaker, a GL is a GL, and you can use them to take out pretty much any non-GL team.
Yeah.
If you need to. So, and with how many off-meta counters to GLs there are in the game, honestly, you don't need every GL of yours to be beating other GLs.
Yeah.
To get good value out of them. So like for my Sith Eternal, I have been using him to take out. It's hilarious. He's like the lifter to Bane. It's absolutely hilarious because Bane takes out the Lord Vaders. He takes out the.
I just beat Leia before we hopped on stream.
I've had a tough time with Leia, maybe because my Bane's not R9 or something like that. But anyway, so like I use C for like the Relic Treya Savage squads. I use them for if there's Malgus or like I don't know, just like any of like the upper tier non-GL teams. I'll just like I'll throw C with a couple of Sith. I'm okay with dying, and then Watt.
I do the same thing. I mean, I'm looking at my GAC, or I was looking earlier, and I was like, do I want to use him against Treya, or do I want to use him, against whoever? I don't even remember what the defense is right now. What I do in GAC is I get one battle in, so that just in case I forget, I'll still get my rewards. But there's always so many options for C that are not GL teams that you're like, well, which one will be the hardest for my other teams to take out?
Yep. So he's not bad. He's just bad against other GLs. He's really good against everything else.
I mean, it depends on how you use him, but you're right. I don't use him against GL, so
Yeah.
so
I mean,
I'll
unless you
concede that
have
point.
like relic armor, relic Watt, and you've got him modded out, and also it helps to have a couple pre-taunting tanks. Um, if you have that, you can use him to beat other GLs. Like, I'm fully aware of that. But for someone in my position who I farmed C, I have Watt at 7 stars, but I'm not going to bring him up to relics and armor up to relics and Sith Empire Trooper up to relics. Like, I'm not going to bring all these random characters up to relics just so that he could maybe beat a GL every once in a while.
Oh, you don't need Watt relics for C. His
Well, yeah, but if I want to use a Datacron, so yeah.
well,
The whole thing is
that's
just put
fair.
tank tech on him, and then
That's fair. Yeah, that's
armor
his
needs to
only.
get relics so she can survive long enough to pass the stacks. But like, I would rather, instead of relicking armor, I would rather relic my Chewbacca, which I for some reason have not relicked yet, or my Han Solo, which I have not relicked yet. So like,
kill him.
it is much better for me to spend the relic there than to force my C to do work that I don't really need him to do. So
on that subject of Watt with relics and the Datacrons, and I know we were talking about Datacrons before, and I'm being a little bit needy, greedy, and being both right now. Have you had a chance to look at like the full list of the Datacrons and kind of like get to them in depth at all yet?
Yeah, I haven't gone super deep into the like the Inquisitor ones. Look like, oh, okay, that'll be a fine boost to Inquisitors, but it's one of the weaker factions, I think, in the Datacron set.
Of the Datacrons?
Yeah, and I don't think it'll be super game changing. For them, it might change a matchup or two, but I don't think it's going to change a ton of matchups for what you're using Riva or Grand Inquisitor for. I think Ninth Sister seems like it'll actually go really well with Lord Vader. So you might actually end up seeing a Lord Vader Inquisitor team that could be really painful to deal with.
That's interesting, because if you have Third Sister, you're not using Ninth Sister in her team. So Ninth Sister gets thrown kind of to the wayside. Which means if you put Ninth Sister in on a Lord Vader team, that 200% max health. I mean, that's...
Well, yeah, because Lord Vader converts all your protection to health, right?
Yes.
So...
I don't know the order of... Do you know the order of the operations there, though?
I don't, but you get bonuses based on like where your health bar is at with a Lord Vader team anyway, so it's going to be absolutely impossible to kill Ninth Sister unless you have an insta-kill. Which... To be fair, if you're bringing in your... Well, no, generally you don't... You do insta-kill. I'm thinking of the Bounty Hunter counter with Fennec and
with
Mando.
Beskar. Yeah.
Yeah, both Mandos.
I mean, my regular Mando isn't even relic, so I barely...
Oh, and 3v3, though, that would... I mean, imagine Lord Vader, Reva, Third Sister... You probably wouldn't do that. You would put like Lord Vader, I don't know, somebody else, Piet or not Thrawn and Third Sister, because then you could. If it's 3v3, use your Reva lead somewhere else.
Yes, I mean I keep Reva off because I'll use it against JML, and that maybe isn't what everybody does, but as somebody who turtles, I need every GL off meta counter that I can possibly think of, and that happens to be one of them. But I guess I'm interested to hear when we talk about like the Ninth Sister one for maybe a Lord Vader team, how that might affect, like, I mean, Bane is the go-to counter now, right? So I don't know if that's gonna I
think it'll be fine. Yeah, I guess I would imagine Bane would still be fine. One, he still has his Datacron. Two, he siphons health, max health. So extra max health is just going to give him like I guess it. I don't think Siphon works that way. Where if you have more max health, he gets more max health.
No,
I think
I
it's
think it's
just
percentage based.
percentage based. Yeah. So, eh. But back to the factions. Gungans, they were going to be busted without the Datacron. They're just going to be super busted with the Datacron. I think that there's obviously some Gungan ones that are more uh, potent than others. I think especially like the Boss Nass one is just absolutely freaking ridiculous.
Okay,
And I
so I'm
think
not the
territory
only
wars
one.
are going to be absolutely hell for the TW officers to figure out.
So, because I keep saying this, I'm like the Jar. Don't get me wrong, the Jar Jar one looks good, and I do want it. But reading these yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, I was like the Boston Ass one actually looks better. I feel like it's gonna work better for the team. But then somebody I was talking to did mention that Boss Nass will end up doing something with Jar Jar with his blind, so the mass assists in TW won't happen, so it won't maybe be as good in TW with Boss Nass. I don't know. I need both. It doesn't matter.
Well,
I think it makes
yeah.
it idiot proof.
The thing with Boss Nass is that the first time your shield generator dies, it doesn't die.
Yes.
Right?
That's the
That's the
important part.
biggest thing. So I think that's going to be super, super tough to deal with. I don't know. Amidala might counter Gungans, but that's like really, really stretching the theory crafting because we don't even have her full team yet, or her. So back to the Datacron, Galactic Republic honestly is kind of meh. If you have Galactic Republic teams, it will elevate them. Datacrons elevate the teams is what they do, but I think Galactic Republic is one of the weaker. I would still say the Inquisitors faction, like level 6 stuff, is weaker, but I think Galactic Republic is also pretty weak. Obviously, with First Order and Gungan being the most powerful. The First Order level 9s, I think, are absolutely insane.
I think the Kylo one, it's crazy because it's like one sentence, right? And we're so used to CG being like, all right, here's a fucking novel, read it. And here it's just like, oh, he does a lot more damage based on his relic amplifier. Just have fun, knock yourself out.
Well, but it's like, let's see. So let's say you had Relic 9, full Relic 9 First Order squad with Kylo. That's what, 9 times 5?
9 times 5, 45.
45. So 45 times 5. Math, 200, 255?
225.
225? Okay. So that's a lot more damage, but I mean, so that's like, it's a good chunk of damage. And if you, I mean, I see where people are like, oh, this is really cool. If you pair it with the level 6, that gives them the 400% of their current defense as offense, but then they lose 50% defense. So you're leaning into what First Order is already good at, which is doing a lot of damage, but having a super glass cannon style team. Like, yes, you're going to get out of there, but probably not with great banners. Unless you can just one-shot them.
Well, they're off. It's an offensive data set for them, right? Because if you have a really fast SLKR and you poke with your first turn and you go to like Hux and take your next turn, that swipe is going to take everything off the board, except the GL. So you'll be left with one character right off the bat.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I can see that. It depends. Like if Hux is faster than a Ray, for example, if you're going against Ray.
That's
especially with Holocron still being around. The thing, though, that I liked better was the First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot Omicron. I haven't tested the SLKR level 9 yet, but the First Order TIE Pilot one, that was the one that where I was like, I need to test that one. I don't know if you watched the video, but it's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
it's 100%.
I'm looking at it now.
It's an offensive Omicron, or not Omicron, wow, Datacron, and it's absolutely nuts. You can two-man just Special Forces TIE Pilot plus SLKR. You can two-man a Relic 9 Leia squad. You can two-man a Holocron. You like, and it's if you bring a full team, it's piece of cake. You can two-man a Master Kenobi. You can beat anything. There's literally nothing you cannot beat with the First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot Datacron.
So I need that one.
Yeah, it is. It's not. I'm compiling a list of counters to it, but so far it's not as impressive on defense because like Bane Malik with the Banecron takes it out pretty easily. Jedi Master Kenobi takes him out pretty easily. The whole deal with Special Forces TIE Pilot Datacron is it allows you to ignore taunt. So if you're SLKR going against a Master Kenobi, you can ignore taunt and just 2 turns stun Cat right away. She never takes a turn. But the AI on defense still goes for Kenobi, even though they can ignore taunt, which makes it super easy to just clean up the rest of the team. Also, getting bonus turns every time you kill a stunned enemy is nuts. It's great. I was able to like just poke down one at a time Kenobi's entire team until it was just Kenobi because I got a bonus turn every time.
Every single time.
Also, if they damage, it's like if they damage a... So whenever the ally in the leader slot or the TIE Pilot is damaged while they have advantage, which is pretty much all the time under SLKR, that enemy gets stunned for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. And then you get extra bonuses against stunned enemies, and whenever a stunned enemy is defeated, they can't be revived, and ally in the leader slot gains a bonus turn. Oh, and they also First Order TIE Pilot and SLKR recover 100% health and protection every time he kills someone who's stunned.
But now for me, which one? Because I'm look, love it, but
you're gonna put him on defense, right?
He's going on defense.
On defense, so this is what I'm interested by. I don't know. So like on defense, I can see how the SLKR one with lots of offense would be really annoying because he takes a swipe, your whole team's dead.
And he does.
But I feel you can plan around that, right? If you're, I don't know, I feel like you can mitigate that more than you can mitigate all of the advantages that First Order TIE Pilot gives. But I'm still compiling a list of counters. Right now, JMK can do it. I'm pretty sure Leia can take him out with the Datacron. And I know Bane in certain comps. Funny enough, C lead with Bane struggles hardcore against that Datacron. But Bane lead with Malik, piece of cake. Don't know why. Oh, also, you can take, which is, I labeled my video, like the whole thumbnail is TIE Pilot is a better lifter than Bane. It's because I took SLKR and TIE Pilot, just those two, against C with Bane, with the Banecron, and I beat them.
And you took him out.
So I was like, hey, he's a better lifter than Bane. But so far, it's only been Bane, Leia, and JMK that could beat him so far. I'm waiting to see if there's more. But essentially, if there are only like 3 counters to him, then you might want it for defense because it will force one of those teams. One of
those stronger teams.
Yeah, which otherwise would be used against a Holocron or a Jabba.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people get stuck because they ran out of firepower. Especially if you turtle, they just can't do anything anymore.
Well, that's the thing with GAC, I think, is a lot of people think like, oh, this team sucks on defense because it loses. But the real, at least the way that I see it when it comes to GAC, is when I'm building a defense, and a very strong defense, I know that a smart player can beat everything. It's about putting in the teams where you have to make a choice, like which team is going to go here and which team is going to go there. And now when you have to start thinking about that, that's where your chances where you're going to screw up, right? Where you have to go, well, this is the counter to two things, and that's only like a 50% win, and that's a 60% win. Let me try that one and see what works. That's where people screw up, is when they take in, when they have to choose their options very carefully and they have limited options against something, and so something like that where yeah, it might lose, but it has to force a stronger team against it. That's a win.
So I think so, and the thing is, TIE Pilot, good, SLKR, good, Captain Phasma level 9, absolute utter garbage.
Yeah, that's shit.
First Order Stormtrooper, I think, will be good in a backwall Captain Phasma team.
Does she?
I think.
Oh, without SLKR.
She doesn't need to be lead, but if you have SLKR, you're going to want one of the other two. And then you would not bring in, you would essentially, instead of doing double tank, you'd take out Stormtrooper and put in Special Forces TIE Fighter, freeing up Stormtrooper to go on your Phasma team. Then you get the Stormtrooper level 9, which he gains max health protection. You get bonuses to the leader, which will probably be Phasma. And then he gets bonuses for using his stuff. I mean, it's not a needed level 9, but I think it would help a Phasma team. And I think where it might really help and start to get really freaking annoying is in territory wars under Phasma lead with her Omicron.
Oh, with the Omicron. That's interesting. Which is
because whenever he uses his special, where he raises his fist, whatever, taunts, he dispels all debuffs from First Order allies, and they recover 50% health. Which, if you're working your way through a team and that happens, that sucks. And whenever, this is, I think, a big thing that I think is going to shut down like CLS counters to it in Territory Wars, which is whenever another First Order ally is critically hit, he gains protection up and taunts for 2 turns. On top of the 100% bonus max health and protection. So he's going to be really, really, really hard to kill. And if you can't kill him and you lose your turn meter train on like a CLS team or whatever team, Night Sisters, whatever, you're going to die. Because Phasma has been given crazy armor penetration and offense boosts. She's going to AoE the crap out of you. And then plus all the other First Order, if you get like a good level 6 on the First Order, they're just going to roll you. As soon as your train stops, you're dead.
You're screwed. That's interesting to think about, just because Phasma, like, she's gone to the wayside in TW. People don't use her anymore, at least at my level. But there was a point where it was a core Omicron, and I know my guild was like, hey, everybody get this Omicron, and we're going to do walls of Phasma. I can see this bringing that back and having to deal with that again and figure that out again, which is not going to be fun. But I mean, if I get it, then I'll be happy and I won't care.
Yep. Also, there is something with the level 6 where it removes 1% turn meter whenever the leader uses an ability. Which for SLKR, you can see how that's really freaking good, because every time they remove the 1% turn meter, everybody gains 10% max health and protection.
Max health.
So, but I'm thinking more so like under Phasma. What was it?
This is why I talk to people much smarter than me, because I look at these things and I just go, oh, lots of words, good.
Whenever the leader is not damaged during the enemy's turn, i.e. you're stuck behind frickin' Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
He's taunting. A random ally gains, if they don't already have it, a random First Order ally gains damage immunity for 1 turn. Wouldn't that really, really suck if
Stormtrooper gets it?
Stormtrooper gets it. Well, and then you dispel it, but then as soon as you dispel it, then somebody else gains it. and then you get into this really annoying RNG fest where where's it going to land? Which, by the way, is why the SLKR plus First Order TIE Pilot works so well. Because First Order TIE Pilot can't be killed while SLKR is alive, which is hilarious. It's like the Ray Ben puzzle. But also, if it's just SLKR and First Order TIE Pilot, First Order TIE Pilot perpetually has damage immunity.
The entire time.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. Which
I'm
is
hoping,
part of like Bane's good. He can just dispel that. But
I'm hoping with
for
this
other
set to get
people,
a good like 5 or 6. But the other thing, I think the last real point when it comes to Datacrons, you have all these level 6s and 9s. The one thing that did stand out to me was the return of the 15% health and protection for each other ally. We had that about a year ago, and it's a level 3. And I remember having like 10 light side ones, 10 dark side ones. You put it on basically every single team. And it's not hard to get because they're level 3s. That, I don't know if I want to say I'm excited for it. I guess it depends on how many of them I roll. Because I didn't roll a lot of like the, what was it last time? The 90, 70, 50 or 90, 70, 30.
I feel the drop rates or whatever you want to call it, the roll rates on those were just absolutely horrendous. Like more so than usual.
But
they just seemed very, very hard to get.
Last time the max health and protection one, I got them very easily. I was rolling them like candy, and I'm wondering if they're going to lower the drop.
Yeah, I already have 2 of them.
From what? To the Datacron store?
Yeah, well, the first, so I bought 1, and then my first level 3 was light side 15% max health and protection. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stop leveling up this Datacron, go back to the store, get another one, and then I got dark side that time. And so, yeah. Which, by the way, my Kron is insane because I got the 15% max health and protection, the good level 6 First Order one where you have like the whole paragraph and they remove turn meter, and the First Order TIE Pilot one, which is, I don't know if there's a different combination you wouldn't be able to do the crazy things I did, but it is pretty good. I'm very happy with what I rolled without having to re-roll stuff. I did re-roll some of them, but like I didn't re-roll any of the stats. And I got a decent amount. I mean, I got some crit chance, which nobody cares about on an SLKR team. But I got some offense and crit avoidance, so...
I think right now, I have my one Datacron is level 2. Because I don't usually... I actually never really invest in them ahead of time, but because of Gungans, I was like, oh, let me see if I can get one. It is... Let's see. Armor penetration and offense.
Nice, that's good.
It's not bad. I'm happy with it. Hopefully it rolls Gungans and I can get a nice level 9 on that, and then I don't have to worry about getting what I want. So that's my hope right now, is that I get what I want and I'm happy. And with Conquest coming up, we'll see. It's the last one in the Queen Amidala one. I think last time I did it in like 170 battles. I'm going to try to get it down to like 150 battles and do more Datacron stuff, and go from there.
Yep. Conquest, like in a day and a half, 2 days? No, it'll start on Monday, right? It usually starts on Mondays.
It's always in the middle of the day, which is a pain. And I know it's not the middle of the day for everybody, but CG is a Pacific time company, so that's what 2, 1, 12, 11 a.m. For them. It just seems like a silly time to start this, and on a Monday too. I have very strong feelings of that. That's like the beginning of the work week. Everybody's busy. I could go.
Well, it gives them the most leeway to start.
That's true. If there's
debugging
issues,
it if something goes immediately wrong.
That is fair. But I don't give a shit. I want
not that helped them when territory battles got bugged.
Yeah. Look, I loved it. I was like, great, take the week off. This is awesome. I'm happy. I don't have to do anything. I can do other things with my life this week. I was super happy. You want to bug it again? Awesome. I'm all about it.
We had underperformed the previous week
Oh, that yeah,
because somebody had accidentally gotten a star when they weren't supposed to. And so we ended up 2 stars off of where we ended up being the next one. And so we got for 2 in a row, we got our
your shit
like
ones.
crap one. And I was like, yeah, it's whatever.
I
But
will take slightly lower rewards if I don't have
for
to do
not having to do it,
to not have to do it. I don't even care. And I know that not everybody agrees with me, but anyone who doesn't agree with me, go be a territory battles officer for just a week, and you'll
don't you like
understand.
territory battles though? Isn't that like your one of your
Um, you know,
things?
my it's where I spend the most of my time, but my thing isn't necessarily territory battles itself. It's unlocking the puzzle of doing it without any effort, right? So it's
Hmm.
finding the teams that can auto territory battles, so that you don't have to put effort into territory battles. And that kind of seems counterintuitive because I'm spending so much time finding ways to make other people do it quicker. But that's what the fun is for me, is trying to break territory battles and see how you can put in as little effort as possible. Which, by the way, the Gungans did do an R5 planet on full auto with only 4 out of 6 platoons. So I'm super happy with that.
Those okay, the light side
Yes.
planet on the first one, it's so annoying.
On the
This
first day?
freaking country. Yeah. Because I don't have like people are like, oh, you use Jedi Master Kenobi. I don't have Jedi Master Kenobi. Anyway, I try to do it with Rey, and I'm lucky if I get through one wave. It's
So
horrible.
I have been told that Ray can do it with Captain, oh, not with Captain Rex. Ray can do it with CT Rex, but it is very modding dependent. And I can't do it myself because my modding isn't right for that, and I refuse to remod. I always use Ray in the middle. Always. I just don't like her on the light side.
Yeah, I've stopped doing light side altogether. Also, my roster. I wish they could. I wonder if you can see how much of your roster, like GP wise, is dark side versus light side.
If you do like light side or dark side, you do like GOTB, you'd be able to because you would only. No, I lied because that's fleet versus. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if I just look at dark side and light side characters and I scroll through the characters I have, there's a fairly clear bias towards dark side characters. Just because that's what I've gone for. Because I went for SOKR, then I went for Executor, then I went for C.
Yeah, I did the
I also got
opposite.
Ray in there. And now I'm going Master Luke, and then we'll see, maybe Jabba, maybe
Jabba,
I don't know. I'm thinking Jabba, but
Jabba.
we'll see because of like the Ewoks and other stuff. I am going to be pretty freaking close to Leia too.
Jabba. I'm telling you, man.
I know
Listen, Jabba. You know I'm gonna tell it to you. Captain Amazing is gonna tell it to you. Anybody
everybody
else is
has
gonna
their
tell it to
Jabba
you.
counter. Like,
Jabba,
oh, go for
Jabba, Jabba,
Jabba,
Jabba. You
Jabba,
have
Jabba,
to go for
Jabba.
Jabba. You want to be a GAC player, you go for Jabba. You have to go for Jabba. I will.
Well, I mean, so the thing is, I'm not gonna not go for Jabba, but I
Sooner
might
rather
be.
than
We'll
later.
see. Sooner rather than later. I'm going for
Leia is
Master Luke first.
Leia is
I have
pointless.
to go for Master Luke first because I need my freaking CLS squad to be relicked. They have been not relicked for like
And that's
over a
fair.
year
That's
at this
fine.
point. I just need to relic them. And if I
JML is
relic them,
fine.
I should do JML. Then I can go to Jabba, in which case I'll already basically have Leia, especially now that I have Ewoks. And then in which case I will basically be a hop, skip, and jump away from Profundity. And then after that, we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna leave you on a cliffhanger with no context here. My wife is upstairs, sick. I gotta get back to her,
Oh,
but
that's unfortunate.
I will tell you, um, without explaining it. I'm not gonna explain it to you. I'm not gonna explain it to anyone. Anyone who wants to fight me in the comments, I am a keyboard warrior, and I will go to bat with them. I don't care. Leia is a low priority GL. She is. I don't care. Jabba is infinitely more important, especially in a post-raid meta. Leia, she's good. All of them, they're all good. They're all great teams. But Leia doesn't do anything for your roster that Jabba doesn't do better. And my ass isn't explaining that. That's it. That's that. You can sit there and wonder. You can go to Cap and wonder. People can go into the comments and tell me, Egnards, you're a fucking moron. I don't fucking care. Leia is a low priority GL.
Yeah.
End of story.
I mean, I would agree. She beats things. That's
They all
it.
do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Jabba has the territory battle missions. He has the Smuggler's Run 2. He's great on defense. He's great on offense. He's got Scoundrel Tag. He's got Hut Cartel. He's got, I think it's just those two actually. Anyway, but like he's very, very good, especially from like an economy and overall game wise. He's very, very good. He's got characters on his teams that have Omicrons in GAC and Omicrons in Territory Wars. So I mean, I understand that he's very good. He's also a gigantic slug. Literally.
Doesn't matter. Yeah,
What?
literally is.
Literally.
But it doesn't matter. The Smuggler's Run 2 is the highest ROI event in the game, and you know that this is my thing, is the ROI on an account, and building an account for that ROI. When you told me your assault battles weren't done before, I was like cringing. I was like, oh god, don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. That's like watching a horror movie to me. I
don't have Jedi Master Luke or Kenobi. How am I going to get through the Jedi one? Especially since I don't have Jedi Knight Luke either.
You're gonna get there when you do Jedi Master Luke. You're gonna have it, and you hit me up for the strategies. I will help you out with that. I'll get that ROI on there. What I want to do is I want to thank you for your time. I want to tell people, first of all, head to our Discord. We have this great creators corner for smaller and newer content creators. Stero's been there for probably, you're the longest out of anyone who's been there so far. I like to watch the rolls and see how your audiences grow, and you've been growing really well. Especially now, we did live. You and I were the first time we went live. You went live, and you've been doing that since then. And I think it's a great perspective for people to see and to remember, and not to just only watch Arnold, who can take out his credit card and buy whatever he wants, which is fine for entertainment value. You learn a lot watching guys like you figure out how to do exactly what he does, but with half of the stuff in your rosters. So the five of you that listen to this point in the video, give Stero a follow, hit us up on Discord. You'll see him there. Tag him all you want. I don't care. Maybe it'll annoy him. I don't know. But again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Also, Creators Corner has been great. I know that was something that actually you wanted to talk about, was Creators Corner. So my quick 2 cents on that is, it's been great. I don't have to manage my own Discord, which I have managed before. It's a pain. Also, you get to collaborate with a lot of other content creators. Like, there's a creator chat. Plus, you have your own specific channels, which people can opt into. It's good for engagement, and it's especially good as a content creator for collaboration with other people and plugging into an existing community. Everybody's super friendly and helpful. Met Moonborn. Shout out to Moonborn, who does all of my assets, everybody's assets, all their stuff. It's great.
No, Moonborn is awesome. The whole idea, and I'll leave this as my final thought. The whole idea was, every creator, I think, does need to have a Discord. They need to have that community. They need to have something. And when I was starting mine, I realized I kind of hated the idea of that. Let's bring other people in. It'll be easier for everybody else. I'm perpetually online. I can keep the things active so that other people don't have to worry about that. You can worry about making great content instead of worrying about answering every single Discord chat that comes in. So if there are any other younger in terms of time doing it content creators who are interested in that type of environment, hit us up, talk to me. I'll help you out. I'll walk you through it, and we'll make that decision together. Once again, follow Stero. I'll have your stuff in the show notes and everything, so it'll make it easy for people. And I appreciate your time, and I hope that I'll hop on one or more of your GAC streams and derail the whole thing.
That would be fun. Yeah. Cheers. I don't think I've seen you drink that much this stream.
I've been drinking constantly.
Oh, there. Okay.
Cheers. Last drink of the night. All right.
Cheers.
Peace out, everybody.